Teofimo Lopez returns to the ring in a couple of weeks to the delight of fans, just 4 months after his 7th-round stoppage of Pedro Campa in Las Vegas. The takeover has 17 wins on his record so far, with 13 coming by way of knockout, proving he's pretty adept at finishing his opponents. Today, we're discussing the 8 best knockouts of Lopez's career to date. So stay with us. First up, it's Diego Magdaleno. Lopez took on fellow American Magdaleno for the vacant WBA, NABA, WBC, NABF, and IBF USBA lightweight titles back in February 2019, and after a couple of flashpoints with his opponent, most notably at the end of a couple of rounds, he would knock him out in the 7th. He had previously knocked his opponent down in the 6th round after a crushing left crumpled him with about 15 seconds left. He was able to see out the remaining seconds, but the writing was on the wall for Magdaleno as Lopez came out swinging for the 7th after smelling blood. The knockout blow was like a scene out of the classic Rocky movies. Lopez wound up a huge left hand before landing it flush on the chin of the Cali native, and that was all she wrote for Diego. Prior to his bout with Lopez, Magdaleno had only ever been beaten twice and experienced 1 knockout. What did you guys make of this huge KO? We're talking the William Silva KO next. In his 10th fight as a professional, Teofimo would win the vacant WBC Continental America's lightweight title. The fight was actually taking place on the same broadcast as Manny Pacquiao, albeit in a different location, but Lopez would impress just as much as the Filipino legend. With the two men trading in the center of the ring, Lopez landed 2 massive left hooks which sent the Brazilian brawler directly to the canvas. The referee instantly realized that Lopez's blows were too much for Silva to recover from and quickly waved off the fight. This was arguably the fight which announced the American to the more casual audiences. Of course, the hardcore fans knew who Teofimo was before this fight, but the way he dismantled William Silva proved to the naysayers that Lopez was for real. What did you guys make of Teofimo's early career? Mason Menard is up next. Stick around. There's nothing quite like a first-round knockout, am I right? Sandwiched between the 2 aforementioned fights, Lopez took on Mason Menard in New York City with a vacant WBA, NABA, WBC, NABF, and IBF USBA lightweight titles on the line, and he did not disappoint. With the fight just 35 seconds old, Lopez landed a monster overhand right, the likes of which would have been more synonymous with someone such as Riddick Bowe back in the day. The punch landed flush, but Menard initially appeared to be okay. It was only when Lopez backed off did we come to realize the Louisiana man was in trouble, as he would quickly fall face first onto the canvas. The fight signaled Lopez's 9th knockout in 11 wins as a professional and singled him out as one of the biggest hitters in the lightweight division in the process. What did you guys make of this one? Let us know below. We have Edis Tatley up next. Stay tuned. Wearing green as well as the gold befitting a champ, Lopez waltzed into this scrap against the former WBA lightweight title challenger on the back of 12 consecutive wins. And it would be a case of finish by name, well, nationality, as well as finished by nature, as Lopez put it on him in the 5th round to retain his WBC NABF lightweight title. The big finish itself came midway through the round as the pair had just exchanged in the center of the ring. As Tatley was moving backwards, in came Lopez with a body shot for the ages, which creased his man. Lopez thought about following up, but his opponent was already on the way down, and he would have run the risk of disqualification had he actually thrown. It was unnecessary anyway, as the Finn had no chance of getting to his feet, and the referee quickly waved off the contest. Lopez would engage in his signature standing backflip after the knockout win was confirmed, moving on to 13-0 over his professional career. What's the best body shot KO you've ever seen? The Ronald Rivas KO is up next. One from the early days of Lopez's career back in May 2017 in the home of boxing, Madison Square Garden. Lopez was taking part in just his 5th pro fight, but would give fans a sign of things to come with a ferocious KO. The two were engaged in a feisty back and forth in the 1st, but it all came to a head early in the 2nd as Lopez demonstrated some of that power he has become synonymous with over the past few years. With a pair together on the ropes and Lopez seemingly in a defensive position with his back against the ropes, he unleashed a left hook from hell, which fans at ringside probably felt. Rivas went straight down, and such was the force of the punch that the referee had to initially hold Rivas' head to make sure he was okay. He still didn't seem sure after Rivas had regained some of his bearings and was seen reassuring Lopez's fellow American. Next up, it's Richard Kami. Stay with us. Kami was easily easily the biggest name Lopez had fought when the pair came together for their December 2014 fight, and Lopez wouldn't take long to add the Ghanaian's IBF lightweight belt to his ever-growing list of titles. Teofimo had touched Kami with a short left hook at the beginning of the second round, which served as a stark warning for what was in the mail for the former Commonwealth champ. The shot made Kami back off a little, but all this served to do was open up the space for Lopez to work his magic. As he ducked down to open up to an angle, Kami thought he had Lopez where he needed him at the end of his jab, but the American sprang into a straight right, which initially saw Kami fall to one knee. As he tried to get back to his feet, he stumbled almost across the entire ring before wobbling back to his corner. The commentator would rightly claim that Kami was on spaghetti legs, and although he was allowed to carry on, the fight would be over moments later as Lopez smelled blood and moved in for the kill, peppering his opponent against the ropes before the ref finally stepped in. Another brutal KO from the Brooklyn-born fighter. What did you think of the Kami fights? And now we're talking Josh Ross. Lopez would score another early stoppage in his 7th pro fight against Josh Ross. The fight took place in Tampa, Florida, and saw Lopez largely dominate the fight, seemingly being able to land at will on his outclassed opponent. Ross offered very little in the way of attack and was actually dropped up against the ropes midway through the second round as Lopez began to find his groove. He was put down by a vicious 1-2 to the body, which was simply a sign of things to come for both. The referee allowed Ross back to his feet, but his body language said it all, and it was plain for all to see that he didn't have much interest in being in there with Lopez. Ross was given a standing 8 count, which initially seemed to rejuvenate him, but that lasted a matter of seconds as Lopez again took control. After a brief exchange of punches, Teofimo again dropped Ross with a big right upstairs, and the referee had seen enough punishment for one night. The fight was quickly waved off, with no protest whatsoever from Josh Ross, who was well aware that he had been outfought and outclassed by the future world champion, who was just much slicker on the night. Do you guys remember the Josh Ross fight? Let us know what you thought about Lopez's performance at the time. And finally, we're discussing the Vitor Jones-Freitas KO. Don't go anywhere. What was that? Another Teofimo Lopez first-round KO you were asking for? Okay then. In Lopez's second appearance at the Garden and just his 8th professional fight, he brutally KO'd Freitas with a punishing right hand, which almost knocked his man clean out of the ring. Lopez landed a huge right to the side of Freitas' head, who seemed to go down in stages. Initially, Freitas appeared okay, but once the shock waves of the punch reverberated through his body, he would stumble onto the canvas and almost out of the ring. His signature Fortnite dance would soon be on full display as he celebrated a huge first-round win, which would see him fight for his very first title in the fight straight after. Give us your thoughts on this massive KO below. As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to swing by again next time for some more fun reveals. And why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video, whilst also subscribing to our channel so you don't miss out on more great bits and pieces going forward. Bye, guys.
Can Lopez do it? He has 2 minutes to work. Comey is hurt badly. Lopez